Today, I wanted to talk about the decision to have two toes as fingers and talk about my accident a little bit more. I've been talking about the accident in the past, and I've been asked a lot why I decided to transfer two toes to my hand. In 2011, I had an accident where my hand got stuck in the machine and all of my fingers got crushed and part of my skin of the hand got removed as well. I've been talking about the accident in this video. After the accident, the first couple of days I had no clue what really was missing on my hand due to phantom pains and the massive bandage they had my hand wrapped in, obviously. And I had really no clue how much of my fingers were left. After a few days at the hospital, I was told that all of my fingers and part of my thumb were gone. And also, I've been missing a lot of skin on my hand that they couldn't save anymore. So I had to get two skin grafts, one from my thigh and one from my foot, to cover up the remaining parts that were missing on my hand. After that procedure, the doctors told me my options in terms of rebuilding function of my hand, since most of my nerves, tendons were still intact and functional. A toe-to-hand transfer was suggested, and it's a very complex operation for people who are born with limb differences, certain diseases, or missing fingers for genetic reasons, and also for people at accidents. And they take the toe next to the big toe, because it's the biggest, more resembling a finger, and transfer it to your hand, hence the name. And I don't remember thinking a lot about the whole situation. I was like, that sounds great. And let's go. After 6 weeks, I was released for the first time at the hospital and was sent home to recover and heal as much as possible. So for me, one of the bigger reasons why I decided for the toe transfer and not for like a prosthesis for an artificial hand was that it's mine, so it's not something artificial, not something machine-like, but also the possibility of getting feeling back in my fingers. And from what I remember, the doctors told me that it's very important to, you don't really think about it, but having feeling in your hands, fingers, gives you a lot of options in terms of, gripping things, carrying things, touching things that are hot, whatever. And that for me was the main reason. That was for me was like, okay, I kind of want to feel again. And since they reattached nerves doing the toe transfer, which also made the operation way longer and complex, I had the possibility in like a time frame of 2 years that the nerves and the feeling, like the nerves grew together properly and the feeling came back, at least to a degree. The decision was made pretty fast, I would say, and I remember not having any anxiety about the whole thing. I knew that it will also mean 2 more surgeries, 2 more long surgeries and recovery phases afterwards, and then rehab. But I took it day by day, and I didn't read up on any problems that might occur or happen, thankfully so. And yeah, after weeks at home, I was finally ordered back into a hospital to start the reconstruction of my hand. I remember waking up in the ICU, still very, confused and just not there yet. and I looked down at my toes, and I couldn't figure out if one was missing because it didn't look like one was missing. And I was like, at first, oh, what if something went wrong? What if it didn't happen? But then I took a look, like I lifted the blanket and took a look at my hand, and there was this one toe looking out of my massive bandages. And I remember the feeling of pure joy and happiness of one of the this first of two big steps that I took, and it happened, and I remember that moment so vividly. I was so thankful. After a couple of days at the hospital, the finger started to get bluish and white, suggesting that the blood flow might not be optimal. And I was freaking out. I remember I was freaking out, like, what if this thing, dies? What if the blood flow stops and my finger would just die and they would need to take it off again? And it was wasted. And they were super nice, and they suggested, hey, we need to try leeches, because leeches help you with blood flow in terms of, because they put this hormone or this thing in your blood that makes your blood thinner, hence, so they can eat better, they can feed better on your blood. And leeches are a very good remedy, natural remedy for things like that, for helping things getting more blood flown into. But they couldn't find any in the hospital. They didn't have any medical leeches there anymore. And so I remember my mom and one of my best friends calling hospitals and other medical institutions to find leeches for me to, get and to help my finger. And they finally found one or some at a medical institution an hour away from the hospital where I was staying. And they got them, and I was so relieved when they put them on and it started to help. Like the color of the finger got better and came back, and I remember looking at those leeches, sucking on the finger, like 3-4 leeches, and they told me, like, they're in this water, obviously in the liquid, and they put them on, and once they're done eating, they get pretty big, like they get massive, and they just fall off and then just lay there, and then they put them back in the glass, and you can do that more often. And they did it for, I think, 2 days, continuously put them on, and it totally worked, and it basically saved the finger. So you have to imagine not using your hand for over half a year, at least one of them, and just using one hand for everything. And it's a very tedious thing to do, because this might not be your prominent hand, and in my case it wasn't, so the right hand was my prominent hand, and so I had a hard time with a lot of things. I made a video about that, actually. You can find it here. After over a year, I was done with rehab and most of my therapy, and I was able to finally also mentally adjust to my new situation, my new hand. And you would think, oh, it's a thing, it's easy, it's a head thing, you just say, oh, you're thankful, blah, blah, blah. Or you might even say, yeah, I can't even imagine, because it looks so different. People look at it, and what are people thinking when they look at you, and the stigma of being disabled and all that stuff. And honestly, I was never a very confident man or teenager. I was just coming out of being a teenager, going into early adulthood, and I never really felt very confident in my body. And certainly that accident didn't really help. I had a hard time to adjust and to accept this new hand of mine. And I started wearing a glove made by a sock with 2 holes. And I started wearing that all the time because I was so self-conscious about it. I didn't want people to notice. I didn't want people to look at it. And I honestly didn't like it at first. I hated it. I hated how it looked. Like, sitting here showing you my hand is a testament to how far I've come in that sense. But obviously, if you wear a glove over your hand, especially in summertime in warmer months, people notice more because it looks odd. You know, you wear a short sleeve shirt, a t-shirt, or tank top, or even at the pool, and you have this thing over your hand, and people notice. And on the other hand, if I don't wear a glove, which I never do anymore, people don't notice. People say, "Oh, I didn't even notice. Oh, I didn't even see." Even if I do something with my hands, people don't tend to see those things. It's usually all in here. So there are 2 moments after the accident that kind of defined the way forward, the way how I perceived myself, and the way that I didn't give a fuck about what anybody else thought. And I started going to the gym afterwards, and a friend that I went with a lot to the gym at one point, just, I don't know if I told him that I was struggling or if he knew, but he built me up and he told me like, "Hey, you're awesome." And he just gave me this confidence, and something clicked in that moment. And another moment was when I visited the US alone in 2016. I met up with my now wife, and I remember we were sitting at this parking lot in her car and talking about, you know, the accident in my hand and all of that stuff. And I was still wearing the glove at the time, and she gave me the confidence, and she pushed me towards that, to just lose the glove and to just own it, to just accept it and own it, which I did. In that moment, I lost it and I never put it on again, and felt freeing. And part of me also finally stopped worrying about what other people think. And also, the way up to accepting it finally was open. Nothing was standing in the way anymore. It's funny because, in a way, this accident helped me accept also my body, accept who I am, accept the body that I was given, and embrace it. And say, this is me. I like that. I'm grateful that I have this body that carried me through so many hard things in my life, in my past. And honestly, I really hope that some of you feel inspired to embrace your difference, because that's ultimately what makes you unique. You know, this hand makes me unique to so many other people, and kind of makes me very grateful, because through that journey I learned so much about myself. I was able to accept something that I struggled my early adult life, my teenage life, so many years I struggled, and I was finally able to accept it through this accident. And furthermore, embrace something that I probably would have never embraced. Obviously, I still struggle sometimes. It's not like I get up every day and look into the mirror and say, "Oh, you're a fucking awesome dude." There are days where I struggle. There are days where I look into the mirror, where I see myself, my hand, my body, and I am, you know, everybody knows the feeling, I guess, to a certain degree. But most of the time I'm very grateful and thankful for the body I've been giving and for the opportunities and for most of the healthy life I've been living so far with this body of mine. And lastly, I just want to say thank you to you for watching, for giving me your time. Feel free to share your story. I really love to hear your story, to start a conversation. Leave any comments, feedback, whatever in the section down below. And I would very much appreciate a like and a subscription if you have not done it yet. Thank you again, and until next time.